When we look at the pages of history, royals often appear wrapped in glory, power, and magnificence.
Oh.
Kings and queens are remembered for their crowns, their castles, and their legacies. But behind this glittering facade, there was a darkness carefully hidden from the public eye. And one of the most painful secrets was this: when a royal child was born with Down syndrome or any form of disability, their fate was almost never the same as their siblings. Today we understand Down syndrome as a genetic condition where children face certain physical and intellectual challenges, but they are loved and respected as valuable members of families and societies. But centuries ago, this was not the case. In medieval Europe, disability was often seen as a curse, a punishment from God, or a sign that the bloodline itself was flawed. And for a royal family, where the image of perfection mattered more than anything else, a child born different could be considered a threat to the dynasty itself. Royal bloodlines were built on the idea of strength, purity, and divine right. A king or queen was expected to represent power and perfection in every possible way, and their children were meant to symbolize the future of the kingdom. If a prince or princess appeared weak, vulnerable, or imperfect, it could cast doubt on the entire monarchy. It could even spark whispers among nobles and subjects that the royal line was cursed, or that God no longer favored their rule. This fear of weakness meant that many royal families did the unthinkable. From the 15th to the 19th century, children with disabilities were often erased from official records. Their names were left out of family trees, their portraits were never painted, and their existence was buried in silence. They were quietly sent away to monasteries, remote cottages, or later on hidden inside mental institutions, sometimes for life. These children became what historians often call the forgotten royals. The royal physicians and advisors played their role in enforcing this secrecy. They warned rulers that if the public learned about a disabled heir, it could shatter the monarchy's image of divine strength. Advisors would say things like, "The people must never see weakness in the crown." And so, parents sometimes, unwillingly, were forced to hide their own children, to pretend as if they had never been born. For ordinary families, the birth of a child with Down syndrome might bring challenges, but it also brought love, acceptance, and a sense of protection. For royal families, however, it often brought fear, shame, and denial. Behind the palace walls, while the world celebrated coronations, banquets, and royal weddings, there were silent rooms where children lived lives of isolation, children who should have been princes and princesses, but who were instead treated like secrets to be locked away. This historical context shows us the tragic irony of royalty. The very families who seemed to have everything, wealth, power, prestige, were sometimes the quickest to abandon their most vulnerable children. Fear of public judgment, the obsession with perfection, and the desperate need to protect the throne created an environment where being born royal was not always a blessing. For some, it was the beginning of a dark and lonely fate.